Welcome to the Hour of Empowerment. Today we are in Season 4, Topic 3, Ethics and Character. We're going to have 3 weeks, 3 parts, and the final week is going to be the part where we're going to talk about your feedback and also about the future program we're going to have. Under this topic, ethics and character, we're going to talk about what is character, why we need to have a strong character, and the prices we may pay when we don't have strong character. We're going to also talk about how to develop and fine-tune our character, and we're going to give you some stories of people, leaders with strong character. Before we proceed, however, I would like to talk to you about what we discussed under Topic 2, Strategic Thinking to Lead Change. Under Episode 1, we talked about the importance of strategic thinking to lead change. We talked about how thinking is very, very difficult, very hard for many people. Thinking, especially critical thinking and strategic thinking. But if we want to change our life, our organization, our nation, there is no other ways. There is no shortcut. We should sit down, think critically and strategically. That's how we want to change. That's how we change if we want to see results. Results that benefits us individually and organizationally. Under Topic 2, under Episode 2, we talked about the tools that you can use to brainstorm as you think strategically. What were the tools that we discussed? We discussed 4 tools. What are they? SWOT, Futures Wheel, Mind Map, and Scenario Planning. SWOT going to help you identify your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities you have, and also the threats, the challenges you may face. And once you identify those 4 quadrants, you should be able to strategize, to capitalize on your strengths, to compensate your weaknesses, and also to tap into the opportunities and overcome the challenges. The second one was mind map. It's based on how our mind works. Our mind works based on pictures, not words. So mind map gonna help you brainstorm, think in pictures. And also Futures Wheel. It helps you to identify a trend, a change, a decision, an event, and ask a series of what-if questions to exhaust from primary consequences, first order to second order, third order, and so on and so forth. Scenario planning is one of the latest tools that you can use to strategize. You have how many futures? 4 futures. Rather than planning, strategizing for one future, which is conventional or traditional, you should strategize for 4 alternative futures. But you have to pick one of them that you think is plausible, the most probable futures that may come. And find out what's going to happen, let's say 20 years or 30 years or 50 years into that future. And develop stories that shows you what's going to happen in that deep and distant future. And based on that story, come up with some strategies to realize that future. Under Episode 3, we talked about change models. We think strategically. We plan to do what? To bring change, positive change. But change is a process. You need to have a model or models that you can use to handle your change, to explain your change agenda to your people, and to initiate, implement, and sustain your change. We discussed about 3 important change models. What are they? The first one is Lewis's change management model. The second one is Bridges transition model. And the third one, John Kotter's 8 steps of change. Now, we clarified that you don't have a perfect model. You can choose one of the models that you feel comfortable, but you can also mix these models so that you manage the deficiencies of one or more of these tools. Under topic 4, we had a very interesting interview with Dr. Chuck Bowen, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Today, let's talk about character. Before we proceed, however, let me emphasize one thing. Leadership is not all about enthusiasm. It's not all about eloquence, communication, strategy, team building. It's not about intellectuality. Let me give you some quotes based on intellectuality. Many people think that intellectualism is the one that does a job. To bring change, to effectively lead others, it's not the intellectual that could be able to help you, that could be able to sustain your leadership. Not. Here is what Albert Einstein said. He said that most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They're wrong. It is character. Most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They're wrong. It is character. Ralph Waldo Emerson also said that character is higher than intellect. Character is higher than intellect. So, as leaders, we should not depend only on our intellectual capacity, on our mind. We should also develop character. But the question is, what is character? Character is very far from behavior, the behavior that we demonstrate on a daily basis. Of course, our behaviors are the manifestation of our character. But the real persona of the person is character. It's deeper than just behaviors. Of course, we don't need character to respect laws and also to meet our formal obligations at home, in our organizations, in our communities, and also in our nations. We need character beyond obeying the law. Because when it comes to the law, just obey it. You don't need to develop character. Just do it. No excuses. If you are in an organization, if you are working for an organization, or you are living in a community, you have to abide to the rules and regulations of that culture, that organization, that nation. You have to obey it. But even if the law doesn't require you to go beyond what the law requires, you have to develop character. That's why many people define character as doing what is right when nobody is looking. Here is a definition that I suggest. Character is an individual's sum total of ethical and moral values that dictate his choices, behaviors, and actions. Character is an individual's sum total of ethical and moral values that dictate his choices, behaviors, and actions. That means the stronger ethical and moral values you have, the stronger character you have, and the stronger follower you can command. But what is not character? We know about character, but what is not character? Character is not about abstaining from eating, smoking, drinking some impermissible things. And it's not about doing some bad stuff alone. It is more than that. It's deeper than that. Character, obviously, is not about sainthood or holiness or perfection. No one is perfect. So we're not talking about being perfect when we talk about character. Let's see the quotation from Nelson Mandela, who is considered to have a very strong character. Nelson Mandela said that, "I'm not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. I'm not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. Of course, character is also not all about becoming a saint or perfect, because nobody is perfect, because there are areas we all are working right now, areas of character we would like to fine-tune and improve. So nobody is perfect. As far as you're breathing, as far as you are living in this world, if you are alive and hearing this voice, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. So we have to keep on working on our character. The moment we become perfect, then we have to transit to the next world. Character is deeper than behaviors. It's more than trying to be perfect. But our character should not be measured based on what we eat, we think, or the way we dress. True character commands following: dressing nice or appearing quiet and having appealing behaviors can really demonstrate true character. Character cannot be identified based on how a person looks. It's deeper than that. Well, in life, you meet people who act and pretend as if they are perfect. I have difficulties, of course, whenever I have that kind of people. And the first thing that comes into my mind is, these guys are pretending. They're telling me that they never made any mistake. They never sinned. They never erred. Or they think that they're better than other people because they're not committing any mistake or error. That bothers me, because if somebody is out there working hard, doing meaningful things, believe me, that person is prone to make mistake, prone to fail, prone to make errors. So character is not all about not failing or not making a mistake. It's about how you handle your mistake, how you handle your errors. So if somebody tells me that he never made a mistake, he never been wrong, well, he has never been in the field. Here is a case. Let's say that somebody comes up to me and tell me that he is a boxing champ, and there is no scars. There are no scars in on his face. What do you think I'm going to think? I don't need to conduct any investigation. I know that he's pretending as a boxing champion. Because if you are a boxing champion, there are many scars on your face. Like that, if you are out there working hard, and if you are a man of action or a woman of action, definitely you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fail. So your being failed, making mistakes doesn't discount you from working on your character, because the question is not about you being a saint, because character is not about sainthood. But why do we need character? Why we should even talk about character? Why now? We have lots of things to talk about. Why character? It's very important. Character sustains your leadership. Think about this. We talked about the 9 cardinal building blocks, and we said that the last 3 leadership attributes are sustainers: persistence, character, and growth. So if you don't have persistence and character and growth, you can't sustain your leadership. You become successful, you can have some stories of success, but you can't sustain your stories. You can't leave legacy if you don't have these 3 leadership attributes. And today we're talking about character, which is one of the sustainers of your leadership. You want to be a great leader, you want to lead your team, you want to lead your community, your organization. Well, you have to have character to sustain your leadership. You have to generate trust. If people don't trust you, they don't follow you. If people don't trust you, they don't take every word you speak, and they don't buy into your change agenda. So your leadership won't have any far-reaching if you don't have character, because to lead, you have to earn trust And that trust commands following. But let's be frank and let's be real. How do you know whether somebody has character? By looking at him or by looking at her? No. Our character manifests when it is put to test, when we are challenged, when we are faced with some difficulties, hard decisions. That's when our character is revealed. How do we react when we are challenged, when we are provoked, when we are at a crossroad? That really reveals our character. So you want to know somebody's character, you have to work with that person. You have to come closer to that person and see that person on how he reacts, how she reacts for challenge, how they handle setbacks, frustrations, disappointments, and so on and so forth. So our true character is challenged and also revealed when we face challenge, when we face disappointments. That's when you know the true nature, the true personality, the true character of a person. So let's have some questions now. From 1 to 10, where are you right now when it comes to character? On the continuum of, on the spectrum of character, where are you? You are at 1 or at 10 or in the middle. 1 being you don't have any character, 10 being you're perfect. So where do you find yourself right now? Let's say you found yourself at 9 or 8, fine. But if you find yourself less than 5, the question is, how do you plan to improve, fine-tune your character? You should not be disappointed that you haven't scored 10 or 9. The question is, how do you plan to improve your character? Take it to the next height. Which ones of your character attributes you respect the most and even pay prices to honor them? Which principles or values have you compromised or broke as you face difficult challenges and choices? So be honest, even have conversation with someone very close to you, someone you trust, and talk about this. Measure where you are on the spectrum of character, and also identify the values, the character values, character attributes that you honor and respect, and those that you have been compromising. And then once you know, once you have the self-awareness about your character, it is a little bit easier for you to improve it, to fine-tune it, because character sustains your leadership. Do you want to influence others? Do you want to have a commanding leadership? Do you want to leave legacy? Then you can't do it without character. All the leaders that we appreciate, all the leaders that we follow, not because they are the smartest in the group, not because they are the most intellectual in that group. It's not because of their IQ, because we trust them. There is no trust without character. When I say trust, do you trust that whatever this person says, he means it? Whatever he says, can he go out and do it regardless of the challenges and the obstacles? If he couldn't be able to do it, does he come back and renegotiate? If he promised to do something, to give you something, will you be doing that? If not, does he come back to you and ask another offer or another negotiation about his offer? So without trusting someone that he can do it, he can deliver, he can show consistency, you can't trust someone. If you can't trust someone, you can't follow that person. But the question of character is not all about individuals. It's also very important for organizations. So organizations should not wait until the character of their leadership create mess. They should be able to identify leaders with character. It's fine that they may not be perfect, but there should be a way to help these leaders develop and improve their character. Organizations should put in place the character attributes they should look from their leaders. And they should make sure that they hire and promote leaders with character attributes that the organization requires. And also, for those leaders who perform well, who buy into the character attributes of that organization, should be incentivized, encouraged, and rewarded. Now, I want to give you a comparison between boldness, courage, and character. Boldness, persistence, of course, prevents you from quitting. You'll be in the fight if you have boldness, courage, and persistence. But if you have character, not only you persist, you also not lower your standards, your moral values, your moral benchmarks. So character is an advanced form of persistence. If you have character, if you believe something, and if you are committed for that thing, not only you persist, you don't lower your standard. You don't lower your value benchmark. So character prevents you from quitting and also prevents you from making gross mistakes and poor judgments. So it's very important. Yes, it's very difficult to slow down and stop a persisting person. Bold people always fight. They will remain in the fight and conquer the challenge. They are bold enough to face giants. But if they don't have character, what happens? They fail even for little character temptation. That's why we have many heroes and heroines who are ready to give their lives, but they failed the character test. I can mention many leaders who failed the character test, but they are considered in their community as heroes and heroines. So boldness alone, persistence alone won't help you in your long journey of leadership. With boldness, you should have strong ethical and moral character. I want to give you this statement. I want you to think about it. People may admire and even worship you for your courage and resilience. But for them to trust and follow you, they want to make sure that you have a decent character. Think about it. People may admire and even worship you for your courage and resilience, but for them to trust and follow you, they want to make sure that you have a decent character. So you need both courage, boldness, and character. Without well-built character, it is too difficult, if not too impossible, to take leadership and to influence others and to leave legacy. No one is going to take you seriously and interested to follow you if you don't have character. General Colin Powell, in his book, It Worked for Me, he said that troops, that means followers, will only go up the hill for leaders who have character, integrity, and moral and physical courage. Troops, that means followers, will only go up the hill for leaders who have character, integrity, and moral and physical courage. Here are the three facets of character. Character matters. Character is a deal maker or breaker. Character is the real thing. Let's see each one of them. Character matters. Yes, character is a bone of contention. People have been discussing about character. And in these days, we have two camps. The first camp thinks that character is not an issue. It's private. Whatever a leader does in his private space, it doesn't matter publicly. Well, the other camp says that character really matters. Whatever a person does in his private space matters publicly. It influences his public work. Which one do you buy into? Which one do you believe? Is character private or public? The second is character is a deal maker or breaker. It can make your leadership or break your leadership. Of course, character is more than an issue for me and for many people, because character is a deal maker or breaker. If you don't have character, if you don't develop it, the balance of your leadership rests on character. And if the boat of leadership doesn't have that balance, it capsizes. Leadership is also likened with iceberg. As you know, the lion's share of an iceberg is under the water. 90% of that structure is under the water. Like that, character is the lion's share of leadership. The question to you and me is our leadership 10% competency and 90% character, or 30% competency, 70% character, or 90% competency, 10% character? I recommend 10% competency, 90% character. That's what Tim Elmore suggested. 10% competency, 90% character. The third facet of character is the real thing. You shine and remain relevant if you have character. A person who shined as a leader, Abraham Lincoln, a leader with character. He said that character is like a tree and reputation like it is shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing. Now here is the case. The grander the structure, which means your character, the bigger the shadow it casts, the bigger your reputation is going to be. Now the last question we should ask is, how do we know whether we have developed character or not? We have been working on our characters. All of us are not perfect. We're working on our character on a consistent basis. The question is, how do we find out whether we have shown some improvements? We have to check up on ourselves. As we go out and check our health, as we take our cars to garage and check them, we should check whether our character is improving or not. Here are 3 suggestions. The first one is, do you do the right things no matter what? Even if you're not benefiting from that deal, from that decision, from that action, do you still do the right thing? Or do you always flip-flop? Do you always see where you benefit, even if it's not the right thing to do? If you are doing the right thing, regardless of the challenges, regardless of being in a disadvantageous position, do you do the right thing? If you do that, well, your character is improving. The second indicator you should use is consistency. People should be able to predict you. When they see you, when they meet you, when they interact with you, can they predict you? Can they say, okay, I know that if he say these things, he's going to do it. If he promises this thing, he's going to deliver. If he is wrong on that thing, he will admit his mistakes and he corrects it. If people could be able to predict you, if people see consistency in your life, then you have developed character and you have to keep on working on it. The third indicator is you could be able to say a resounding no. I can tell you that one of the challenging things in the world is to say a resounding no when you don't believe anything. I can give you so many examples. For example, in our country, okay, there are so many wrong things. Are people saying no to that? No. There are things you don't believe, but you shy away from saying no. But when you develop character, you say no, even if it may hurt, even if it means you may lose some people, even if it means you'll be thrown to jail, even if it means you may lose your life, even if it means you won't benefit anything. So character is very serious in your leadership. in your organization. You have to embrace it, but make sure that it's a process. You have to show some efforts to do that. In conclusion, character beautifies your life, your leadership. It generates trust, and also character is very important, as you need courage and boldness in your leadership. And character is the one that sustains your leadership. That's why we put it under the 9 cardinal building blocks to succeed in leadership. But character is not for immediate consumption. You develop your character for years, sometimes even for decades. You may not use it, but you don't know when you need your character. So even if there are no challenges, even if there are no people who are following you, even if you don't have a leadership position right now, even if you don't have a business or a team right now, you don't know when you need your character, when the people come closer to you, when you have opportunities to lead, because you need your character. And you can't develop your character within a day, within a year. It takes time. So begin working on your character. Don't stop working on your character, because character is not an overnight job. You have to take time, work on it, practice it, improve it, sit down, evaluate it, see where you are blindsided, where you have weaknesses, work on it, ask people feedback where you are compromising your character. People will tell you, people who work with you, they're going to tell you, hey, you promise things and you don't deliver. You say you're going to do this, but you don't do it. You act this way, you say this way, but you don't do it this way. So ask people, know your weaknesses and improve them. Tough times may come in the future, and you may need your character. You may be tempted, and if you don't have character, you're going to compromise and you don't like it. It may take away your leadership. It may destroy your legacy. So develop your character on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, to make the right decisions and always to be on the right side of the truth. Of course, I'm going to ask you some questions. Think about it. In real life, there are rarely you find right or wrong things. And for this kind of choices, believe me, you don't need character. You just choose right against wrong. But in life, you know that. Sometimes you are confronted with two wrongs, two wrong people, two wrong decisions, two wrong choices. Which one do you choose? As I said, it's simple when it is right and wrong. But what happens when it is two wrongs? Which one do you choose? When you have character, when you know about your values, it's not that difficult to choose between two wrongs. Now, what happens when you are confronted with two rights? Which one do you choose? Two of these guys are great for your organization, for your team, for your personal friendship, partnership. Two of these opportunities are great. Which one do you choose? If you have character, it won't be that difficult. It's very easy to make decisions based on the circumstances, because circumstances change. Your character don't change. But developing character requires time and effort, and it's a process. My friend, you want to succeed? You want to be a change agent? Do you want to influence others? You want to succeed and be example to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues? Develop character. Next week, we're going to further talk about character, and also we're going to bring you some stories. Stories of people with a strong character, great character. And we're going to have also an interview. Until I see you next week, have a wonderful time. Thank you very much for watching.